Rob, I called this conference to reinforce some of the really good things that you're doing in the classroom. Planning is good. You have a real insight into the needs of the students. And I really have a real sense that there's some valuable learning going on in the classroom.
Well, thanks. I love the class, except for Harold. He just won't stay in his seat. I can't teach a kid unless he's at least willing to try. I noticed even Mr. Smith has problems with him.
It's interesting you should mention, Harold. I'm really pleased with your student teaching. However, I'm going to be honest with you. I am concerned about the way you seem to feel about Harold.
Well, the other kids seem to sit and pay attention in class. He just won't try. I'm not even sure a kid like that belongs in this class. Wouldn't he do better in a special ed class?
I know how frustrating it is to have kids like Harold in your class, but you're going to find that in every class that you ever teach. It's your job as a teacher to help him succeed.
It is frustrating to deal with someone like Harold. How do you deal with him?
Well, he frustrates me too. But of all the kids in the class, he probably needs encouragement the most. It's my job to encourage him regardless of my personal feelings. So I try to leave the personal feelings out of it.
What can I do?
First thing I would do is recognize your own feelings. And then be especially alert to small positive things that Harold may be doing. And then try to reward those positive things when you see them. For example, have you noticed when he can sit a little longer?
I have noticed he seems to stay in his seat longer when you're teaching. Why does he stay in his seat longer for you?
Kids like Harold need a lot of reassurance, and they're afraid of change. You're in there as a new student teacher. That was a change to him. He knows me, he likes me, and he wants to please me. And to be honest with you, I've also done some things in the past before you got here. So in a way, it's a difficult situation for you, but you can do it.
So he'd do better if he knew that I liked him more. Maybe if I spent some more time with him on the playground, just talking to him or just being interested in him.
That's very important, and I think that will work. But also, I think you need to get in touch with how you feel about Harold. That's also very important, that you start thinking in a positive way about Harold.
You said you did some other things to help Harold.
One example is I asked kids that were the better kids to move and sit around him. I've asked other students to, for the most part, ignore the wandering around that he does in the classroom. So we've made some sacrifices in the classroom because of Harold.
But he has days when he just can't sit still. What do you do then?
One thing that I've tried is having Harold run an errand to the office. He put a little message to the secretary, and I'm usually pretty honest with the secretary and say the reason Harold's here is I have to get him out of the classroom for a while. And it works.
But that's hardly fair. Most kids like to run errands to the office. Why reward Harold?
Again, Rob, you're still thinking negatively about Harold. Try to answer the question that you just asked me.
Well, I suppose you let him do it because he needs it more than the other kids do. And if it helps to solve the problem, then... Yeah.
You're a creative teacher. You can solve problems, and he's a problem. It's going to take more work. The most important thing for you to do in that class is to help Harold make it in that class.
I guess I need to watch what I say about Harold and notice when he does better.
I think the most important thing to remember is that Harold is hungry for praise. If you can find a way to praise him when he's done a better than usual job, and you're honest and sincere about it, and that's very important that you have those qualities, you'll notice the results quickly.
Maybe I have been too hard on Harold.
The same thing that makes you such a good teacher can also be a problem. You need to have high expectations, and you have high expectations, and they're serving you well in your student teaching. But you have to give kids time to reach those expectations. Be just a bit more patient with those individuals who have lesser abilities.
What if you have more than one Harold?
As usual, you're more perceptive than most teachers. Every class is going to have students with Harolds in the class, and sometimes you have more than one. But the same strategies that I've suggested to use with Harold will also work with a large class. Think positive, be realistic, notice progress, and find special ways to help those special kids.
Sounds easy when you say it.
You know from experience and from this semester that it's not easy at all. It takes time and patience. But it's time and patience is what separates the great teachers from the good one. And I'm really confident that you're going to be a great one.
Well, thank you for being honest about the way I've been working with Harold. I'll try to think more positively about him.
Thinking positively about Harold is the first step. Then let those natural instincts that you have as a teacher take over. Instead of judging Harold, help him. I really believe that you can make a real difference in his life.
I think you've helped me understand Harold a little better.
What have you learned about yourself from this conference?
That I need to recognize my expectations and my level of patience with students.
Good. Talented people often tend to become frustrated when working with less motivated and talented individuals. You need to be aware of that throughout your career, and I think in the end you'll be happy that you did.